Hi guys, and welcome back to Elizabeth Ann Reads. Today we're doing a book haul. So these are the books I picked up in February. For the last year or so I haven't been buying a whole lot of books, but then the last 2 months that's just completely gone out the window and I've bought a crazy amount of books. But this should be the last haul for a while, I think. February there's a big library book sale that I go to at the end of February each month, and that happened this past weekend. So yeah, that happened. But other than that, I don't think I'll be buying a whole lot for the foreseeable future, other than maybe a few brand new books. So this should be the last big haul for a while. So before I get to the books I got at the library book sale, I did pick up 4 other books this month. So let me just show you those real quick. The first one I picked up was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. And this, I don't even quite know how to define this. It's like a literary picture book almost. You can see there's illustrations, there's just a few sentences on each page, or sometimes only one. And it's just, they're almost just like little words of wisdom or little fables, but very, very concise in like 1 or 2 sentences. It definitely has some Winnie the Pooh vibes, like just that kind of that sweet, sweet softness, but again, not full stories, just little phrases or, you know, just snippets of wisdom. I actually picked this up with the idea, I heard about it from Murphy Napier, her channel. She received this and really loved it. I originally picked this up with the idea of setting it aside for Dewey's 24-hour readathon in April, but then earlier this week or last week there was a night I couldn't sleep, and so I just picked it up and read it then, and it's very cute. I recommend it. I liked it a lot. Alright, then I picked up 3 books with middle grade March in mind. The first is Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth by Sheila O'Connor. This, everyone's been talking about this. It's historical fiction. I believe it deals with the Vietnam War set in the late 60s, and it's told in letters between this girl and this older man. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading that in March. I picked up The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This, I don't know much about it. It's, I believe it follows some children, and there's a kidnapping, I think, and maybe they're trying to find the missing children. Something along those lines, but it has to do with like puzzles and ciphers and figuring clues out along the way, which I always love that in a good middle grade book. And then the last one I picked up is Here in the Real World by Sara Pennypacker. This is, I think, a story of friendship. Ware can't wait to spend summer off in his own world, dreaming of knights and castles, but then he meets Jolene, a tough, secretive girl, planting a garden in the rubble of an abandoned church. As different as Ware and Jolene are, they have one thing in common. For them, this secret place becomes a refuge. And when their sanctuary is threatened, Ware vows to save it. But what does a hero look like in real life? I don't know, this just sounded really interesting, and yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I'm going to get to all of these in March, but, you know, I now have like 60 books. I went to the library again, if you watched my middle grade March TBR. So I now have like 60 books that I need to read in March. So I probably won't get to everything, but hopefully I'll get to these 3. All right, now on to the books that I picked up at the library book sale. This, like I said, this is a big sale. They do once a year. They do smaller sales throughout the year, but this is their big one. And prices are low, and the quality, like the selection they have, is really good. So I ended up getting 28 books for only $24. So, I mean, how can you complain about that? So I was pretty excited. My rule of thumb is I have a big bag that I take with me, like a canvas bag, and if it gets to the point where I can't lift it, that's too many books. So as long as I can still lift it, or, you know, push it along the floor with my foot, then I consider it okay. And I'm pretty sure prices went down, because I usually spend more than that. So everything except nonfiction was $1. And some of the children's books are even less than that. So yeah, just a great sale. So let me show you what I got. A lot of these I don't know a whole lot about, so we're going to go through them fairly quickly. I did pick up 2 things that I will be adding to my middle grade March shelf. The first is King Arthur and His Knights of the Round Table by Roger Lancelyn Green. I already have Roger Lancelyn Green's version of Robin Hood and Greek Heroes, and so I was excited to find the King Arthur one to add to that stack. I also found Sharon Creech, Walk Two Moons, which I actually know nothing about. I just know several people have read it and really loved it, and it often gets talked about around middle grade March time, and it's this lovely hardcover. So yeah, I picked that up. All right, moving on. I picked up a couple classics. The first is Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. I have not had great luck with the John Steinbeck I have read, but it has been several years, and I had someone tell me that if you don't like John Steinbeck or haven't liked him, that Cannery Row is a good one to start with. It's pretty short, and yeah, it's this perfect. I'm pretty sure this edition has never even been read, so I decided to go ahead and pick it up and give John Steinbeck one more try. And then I was super excited to find 2 Thomas Hardy novels. Thomas Hardy is one of the authors that I've been wanting to read this year to try, but I've had a really hard time finding his stuff used, and I didn't really want to go buy them new yet until I've tried them out. So I found Thomas Hardy, Tess of the D'Urbervilles, as well as Jude the Obscure. So I was really excited to find those. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, I'm not sure this is technically a classic, but modern classic, maybe? I found Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Annie Dillard, which again, I don't know much about or anything about, but I know I've heard good things about it. So I went ahead and picked up that one. All right, just going to start grabbing stuff at random. I have Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This is a book everyone's read, everyone's been talking about. I generally avoid books like that, but I decided after seeing like 10 copies on the table, I thought, you know what? For $1, I'm going to give it a try. I found Liane Moriarty's new one, 9 Perfect Strangers. I know this has not been as well received as some of her earlier works, but again, it was $1. What are you going to do? So I will add that to my Liane Moriarty shelf. I found, let's see. I have Kate Atkinson's Transcription. I have not yet read Kate Atkinson. I know Life After Life is her kind of more popular one. And I think this one's newer and is historical fiction. Probably World War II. Yep, World War II fiction. Has to do with spies and espionage. And again, I don't think this one's been as well received as Life After Life, but I thought I would give it a try. I have And After the Fire by Lauren Belfer. This is another historical fiction, and I think it has to do with a musician, a harpsichordist, studying under Bach. And then it looks like there's a dual timeline as well. And maybe some World War II in this one too, so who knows. But years and years ago, I read her book, City of Light, which I remember liking. I don't really remember anything about it, but I do remember liking. And I've been hearing good things about After the Fire. So yeah, we'll give that one a try. I picked up How to Buy a Love of Reading by Tanya Egan Gibson. This I know I've heard of. I don't think I've actually heard anyone talk about it, but I know I heard of it when it came out. This is fiction about books and reading, and yeah, I don't think it has fantastic reviews, but again, I figured I might as well give it a try. I picked up this one I actually already have a copy of, but I picked up a new copy of The Eyre Affair by Jasper Fforde because it's hardcover, and my whole set, except for this one, is in hardcover, and so I was super excited to find this one in hardcover, and then I can use my paperback as more of a loaner copy, which I always like to have with my favorite books. So yeah, excited about that. I have News of the World by Paulette Jiles. Someone read this one. Was it Krista? I can't remember. Someone read this and liked it. And I think it has to do, it's American historical fiction after the Civil War. I don't know, but it's pretty small, like just size-wise, it's pretty small, and then it's pretty short too. And yeah, we'll give it a try and see if it's any good. I have Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. I again have not read Octavia Butler yet. I have Kindred on my shelf, And this is the other one I was especially interested in, so I picked up this one as well. This, again, is this historical fiction or is this science fiction? Or a mix of both? We'll see. I'll let you know when I read it. I have The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivy. This, again, I've heard quite a bit about, and I believe it's about a couple that finds a child, basically shows up on their doorstep, and yeah, there we go. I found Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. Again, I don't really know anything about this. I know people have been reading it lately. But yeah, I went ahead and picked it up. Also have The Wonder by Emma Donoghue, another one that was pretty popular a couple of years ago that a lot of people read. And I've been kind of curious. It's not been like super high on my radar, but I have been a little curious. So I decided to go ahead and pick it up and give it a try. I have The Golem and the Genie by Helene Wecker. This, again, I think was popular a few years back. One that I had kind of been aware of, but not like super high up on the priority list. But again, I decided it's a really pretty cover. The sides are, you know, black or dark blue. And I just decided to go ahead and give it a try. I don't really know what this one's about. I picked up The Tea Rose by Jennifer Donnelly. Jennifer Donnelly is another author that I've been wanting to read more from this year. I have 2 books already of hers on my shelf. And this was another one that I was really interested in. I believe it's historical fiction. Set in London, 1888, it looks like. So, and it's chunky. It's much bigger than I thought it was. So, we'll see about that. I picked up Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, which is science fiction or like post-apocalyptic maybe, which I've heard really mixed things about, but it's one I've been really curious to read. Again, it's quite short. So yeah, we'll see. I got 44 Scotland Street by Alexander McCall Smith. Alexander McCall Smith is more known for his #1 ladies detective agency, but this is the first in a different series set in Scotland. So I decided to give this one a try. I got The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom. Again, I know nothing about this other than I know people have been talking about it. Looks like it's set in the South, Virginia. Maybe some racial issues. Turn of the 19th century on a tobacco plantation. So, sounds interesting. I got The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. I have not read Kate Quinn. She's not been super high on my priority list, but I know a lot of people have been reading and really loving her books. So we'll see if I fall in that category or not. I picked up It Ends with Revelations by Dodie Smith. I know nothing about this other than I know that Dodie Smith wrote I Capture the Castle, and I thought this cover was kind of cute. And so I decided to go ahead and just kind of go in blind and try this one. I picked up 2 books in the Flavia de Luce series by Alan Bradley. These are books 2 and 3. This is The Weed That Strings the Hangman's Bag and A Red Herring Without Mustard. I have read the first one. It's been a while. I'll probably reread it before I move on. But since I found both books 2 and 3, I decided to go ahead and get those. I picked up Gideon the Cut Purse by Linda Buckley Archer. I heard someone talk about this. I can't remember who. It might have been Kaylee over at Books for MKs. I can't remember, and I don't know anything about it. It's historical fiction. It may have some time travel elements to it, which I do love a good time travel novel. So we'll see. I think it's the first in a series or a trilogy. And then lastly, just kidding, not lastly, I have Everyone Brave is Forgiven by Chris Cleave. This is another historical fiction. I'm guessing World War II, London, 1939. So during the Blitz, I guess, in London. Okay, now lastly, I have this absolutely random book that I picked up, or the friend I was with actually picked this up off the table and was laughing at the description and handed it to me. And it's very odd sounding, but odd books can definitely be a win for me. So I decided to go ahead and try it, and it may be a disaster, and it may be a new favorite. Who knows? It is called Someone Comes to Town, Someone Leaves Town by Cory Doctorow. Let me read you just a little bit of the back. It says, a miraculous novel of secrets, lies, magic, and internet connectivity. Alan has devoted himself to fixing up a house in a bohemian neighborhood of Toronto. Among his next-door neighbors is a young woman who, in a moment of stress, reveals to him that she has wings which grow back after each attempt to cut them off. Alan understands he has a secret or two himself. His father is a mountain, his mother is a washing machine, and among his brothers are a set of Russian nesting dolls. And it goes on, but that's all I'm going to read. So this will either be great or terrible, but sometimes it's fun to just grab something and say, oh, this looks weird, and give it a shot. So I'll let you know for sure when I read this one, if it's any good. So that is it. I don't know if you can see my massive stack down here. Probably not. So there's all the books. Hello. There's all the books I got from the book sale. There's 2 stacks here. And there they go. So yeah, that is it. Again, this will be my last haul for a while, but it should, keep me supplied for the rest of the year. Between this and what I already have on my shelves. So yeah, if you have thoughts on these books, if you've read them or recommend them or don't recommend them, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love some tips on where to start or where not to start. And yeah, thank you for watching.